Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Life is Better with Music with Gavin and Mitchell. This week we're going to have a special guest, and we'll get to her in just a moment. But let's talk real quick. Let's do our nice little TED Talk before we start. So, Hades Part 3, officially done. It's taken me a while to figure out percussion stuff, but I was also band camps, this, travel, that, Season 2 premiere, all of the above. But that's good. Part 4 is being started, and that is Wine Dark Sea. That's arrangement of that as well. So,
Love Wine Dark Sea.
last week we talked a lot about Bands of America, and this week we're going to talk about our, I won't say Leslie looked on, but a lot of people kind of forget it exists, is our state circuits in every state, at least the states that have it. Because I'm going to be honest, this morning I was probably researching this stuff for like 4 or 5 hours, and it's not simple to find these dates. It's like I have to jump from website to website to find that. And speaking of websites, the shirts are off pre-order, and they're very nice. I'm not wearing it today because I wore it last week, but they're very nice. We got multiple colors now, so go get a shirt. We may be throwing a teddy bear out there with a shirt as well. Because, listen, the teddy bear looks cool. So I want to get a teddy bear. I'm going to be honest.
There you go.
Make it our mascot. Keep it right next to me. But besides for that, so we're going to get into state circuits today. We're going to look at all 50 states' finals dates, I guess you can say. Some states don't have one. Some states I couldn't find. So some of these states will probably be wrong, but don't come at me for it. Go at the states for not having the the date online somewhere, because some of them
Shame.
I guess I haven't updated it yet, and it's it is 23 days away from fall, so that's
It's basically September.
it's September in 2 days. So
Yeah.
but let's hand it off here to our special guest today. It was a surprise to all of you. We didn't even talk about it last week. But Allison, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me. Let me see. I'm a junior music education major at University of Kentucky, and I'm also majoring in arts administration. So I'm doing both of those. It's fun. I graduated from Harrison County High School, which is, I believe they compete in 4A now in KMEA, which
I
is
think
cool.
so, yeah.
That's where I graduated from. I was there when John Mers was the director. And it was, I loved it there. I learned so much about band. And then I think around my junior year, I decided I wanted to major in music. So they were all very supportive of that. And, so I'm now at UK, and my sophomore year, which was last year, I started teaching or teching, I guess, at Bourbon County High School, which is, if you're familiar with KMEA, you know that those are two very big rival schools, my hometown and the school where I currently teach. So that's been fun. But no, I'm kidding. It's been really, really good. And I've been learning a whole bunch, and I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, I've spent time in the WMB, which is the Wildcat Marching Band. I've played in the concert band and the symphony band. I'm in the horn studio. I'm pretty active there, and we do horn choir and private lessons and all that stuff through that. So it's good. It's going well.
So mellophone is the best instrument, right?
I would
In the
probably.
on the marching field.
Okay, I was gonna say I would totally prefer it over mellophone for sure, but I am partial to the mellophone when it comes to marching band
We
settings.
love mellophones.
Yes,
So
yes,
at the Bourbon County, right?
yes.
So are you the mellophone
I think that's my
person?
title. Yeah, I do
Mellophone, high brass technician?
yeah, kind
Like,
of. There's a few people that work with trumpets as well, but I kind of, especially during rehearsals, we all just kind of dive in and do what if there's something that needs to be fixed, we just all dive in and fix it. It's not really
yeah. We'll
um
find the out of tune tuba and
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I'll go over there and kick them into gear if I need to.
Yes.
We all, yeah, we
heck
all just
yeah.
kind of migrate around. It's literally adorable because our director is up in the tower and he's fixing. This is exactly how I want to run my band someday. The director's up in the tower and he is fixing the big picture, big ticket items. But then there's
Drill.
really 10 of us on the ground and we're running around being your feet are out of time. You're playing this wrong note. You're out of tune. Pull this out, push this in, do this, do that. And it all just
Girl boss.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. I love it.
That's kind of how Tarpon was. Like we had Mr. Ford up there, the two like the woodwind director and the percussion director on the field, and like they would go up and down. His wife, the color guard director, and then like the visual staff and like the alumni staff that would do music. But shifting from that into like the school I work for, we have Miss Beavers, who is like, she does the drill. She's the woodwind girl. Like that's her thing. Then we have Mr. Matthews. He does percussion, and he's on the field with like percussion and front ensemble. Then we have Mr. Perry. He does color guard. Then we have Mr. Pauly, who does like low brass. Then I'm the visual guy. I do props, feed out time, choreography, all of that jazz. So I'm kind of like, I wouldn't say like the only one, but I mainly have to try and find all the visual mistakes on my own.
See, and that's what I really like. That's what I really like about our staff in particular is that Mr. Stone was I think he was very strategic about the people that he hires because we all have our specialized thing that we work on, but also I think the majority of the people that are there are very educated on pretty much everything. And so that way we can all just buzz around and fix whatever we need to. And like, if one of the low brass guys sees one of my mellophones doing something wrong and I don't notice it, of course I want them to say something. Or now I do stay away from color guard because our color guard instructor is fabulous. He's great. And I don't know enough about color guard.
We don't mess with, we don't mess with color guard.
Yeah, but everything else, if I see feet out of time or if I hear something out of tune, like we all just are kind of on the same page where we're like, if you hear something, just fix it. Like we'll all just fix it.
For us, it's like, I do everything visual except for color guard. I do props, everything.
I stay away from that.
And like, if Perry sees something wrong with the band, he's like, "Listen, that's you. It's not my contract. That's you." And I'm like, "Listen, I'll take it. I'll go fix it." But I also do like middle voices, like the alto saxes, the mellophones, upper voice trumpets, like. I jump in that range musically. And I fix like other sections, obviously. Like the other day I was yelling at the tenor saxes to play louder because the altos were... It's like, okay, well, lower voices play louder so these altos can play louder so they're not sticking out of the ensemble. So, with the drill that we have, this is just a side thing. I hate when drill writers... No hate to drill writers. I'm a drill writer. But... please don't put the woodwinds in the back.
That's probably one of the worst decisions you could ever make.
In the ballad, too. In the ballad.
Oh, that's even worse.
Negative. If I ever... Which, first of all, I plan to write my own drill, so I don't think I'll ever...
Hey, that's what Mr. Ford does.
Yeah, like, I fully plan to write my own drill. But if I ever, for some reason, need to buy drill, and this man or woman or whoever sends me back drill with woodwinds in the back, I will promptly email it back to them and be like, redo that.
Drill writers, with all due respect, drill writers they write for multiple groups, so I get that it's stressful at times, but it just seems like, and no hate to him because again he's writing for a lot of groups, but it just seems like with us, like our drill, like he's kind of doing it with one eye closed, and it's just like we fixed like this drumline spacing today that like the bass drums were like completely not spaced out, and it's like, why does he have two of them moving this way and the rest shifting that? That's
stupid.
It was like that, and then in the ballad, it's like we couldn't. The woodwinds are in the back. Yeah, like it has a cool brass moment. We always want the brass in the front. Yeah, brass. But the little woodwinds can't. like the flute players are like in the farthest. Like they are It's like they have the berries up front. Like, okay, yeah, I love my berry sax, but like I need to hear the flute too. Like.
Yeah.
And the piccolo, like our piccolo player, like we can hear it, but a high out of tune piccolo, because piccolos are very out of tune, is not what I want to hear. Mm-hmm. So
that's actually why a lot of I don't know. Are you in Indiana or Kentucky or where are you?
Me?
In Ohio.
I'm in Ohio
right now.
Ohio. Okay, yeah. I don't know how is it called OMEA? I guess.
OMEA, yeah.
I don't know what it's like in other states, but in Kentucky, at least in central Kentucky, the majority of us don't even march piccolos. Like we have
we just have one. Like in Tarpon, when I was, because I was born in Ohio and moved down to Florida and did school down in Florida, and then I moved back this last winter. But even in Florida, like my freshman year, we had like one piccolo player, and then we just cut it because it's like piccolo players aren't always used and aren't really needed.
Yeah, and
especially when you have 22 flute players, like.
Yeah. And I understand the logic behind it because I do, especially, and I learned this in because in W&B it's like literally only piccolos. Like we don't.
Yeah, we don't march flutes.
So I understand it.
Well, you want to hear that part.
The thing is like you can actually hear the piccolos when they play stuff because it's so high. It's like octaves above everybody else.
It's like Stars and Stripes Forever with like all piccolos.
Oh, please no. No.
Well, like the thing is, with
Carmel
woodwinds,
had a couple. We had like 4 or 5.
Well, you're also a huge band too, so
Right.
like, that kind of makes sense with the size of your ensemble. But like
Yeah.
Tarpon and Licking, like we're very equal in size.
Mhm.
Like I think Licking actually has like the upper edge slightly, just like
Really.
But we don't make everyone march. Like if we had everyone march, they would definitely be bigger than Tarpon. Like
Right.
probably most definitely. Or else I'm wrong. I don't know, but like from just looking from the size of, like from our press box, like compared to how it would look at Tarpon, it's very close already, and that's not even everyone marching. But point is, we only need like one piccolo player, and she's actually like our soloist in the show too. So it's like she has to jump off piccolo, and then it's like, oh well, bye flutes, bye. Well, and again, flute players like normally, and I'm not trying to bring like anything in here. Normally, flute players are female. So, like in any ensemble I've been in, like at Tarpon we had one guy. It was my god brother. One guy flute player, and I think in our ensemble we have 1 or 2, something like that. And he wrote in the end of the ballad, the drill, like the flutes are taking like a 4 to 5 step.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to releve march this since we're in like a ballad, but you can't jazz run this at.
No.
Because like, you're
you
gonna
can't
be
do
hopping. So that's just side thing, but I like when piccolos are used personally, but they don't need to be used. It's just, and that's just the thing with all woodwinds. I think if an ensemble can afford it, have mics on the front. Tarpon was one of the first groups to do that, especially in the Bands of America field.
Yeah.
Have mics on the front that kind of like set up the sound, and then everyone's doing it now. Like everyone.
Did Harrison have? Did they have field mics or?
That's the funny thing is that we kind of like experimented with that differently every year. And I remember actually my junior year, and I couldn't tell you how well this actually went. I don't know what they did. They had all 3 years. I only did high school marching band for 3 years. Fun fact about me, because I really didn't like marching band, like the entire
I don't blame
time. Yeah, until finally my sophomore year, my director was like, "You need to join. If you're gonna even think about majoring in music, you have to do marching band." And I was like, "Fine."
Yeah.
So I joined, and I wound up actually liking it, but I didn't think I was going to.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a fun fact.
Crazy.
But yeah. But I love orchestra and concert band, and that's where my heart lies. I do love marching band, and I've grown to love it a lot more than I used to, and I do fully plan to, like, if I'm gonna direct marching band, I'm gonna do it correctly, and I want it to go well. No, and I didn't mean that as like shading. I just mean like, if I'm going to run marching band, I'm going to make sure that my band is a good marching band and that they're good, and they earn a good education through that. But we did have, I think at least my junior and senior year, we had like on the side or next to the pit and stuff, we had like those big mics that like
yeah.
And then, but my junior year, we had a really big issue with our woodwind sections being incredibly good, but there was no projection. So they actually gave like all the section leaders and then a few of the seniors.
Yeah, they mic'd their players. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I'll have to ask my director like what he wound up actually thinking about that at the end of the year. Because I do know it became a really big hassle because when we were like getting out onto the field for performances, because I don't know how other.
Yeah, test all those mics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had like a time limit. So, each band in KMEA has like 15 minutes to get on the field, play their show, and they get back off again.
Right. You gotta hustle. You gotta haul it.
Yeah. And so I remember like they were all like sitting there trying to get all these mics checked and get them on. And we were all like this show's 8 minutes. We have to go. And they were
Yeah.
like breaking all these mics up. So I think that's why my senior year we didn't do that again.
Yeah.
But yes, we did have field mics. Yes. Now whether or not, and the other thing was that my school Harrison County at the time was, we were really lucky that we had an active booster program, because if we didn't get a lot of funding from the board and stuff like that. So the fact that we were even able to have those mics
get that money.
They were so expensive. They kept breaking, and we had to keep replacing the batteries, and the equipment that we already did have, while it got the job done, it wasn't necessarily like
great.
Yeah.
So it was, I think we kind of got to the point where we were like, okay, we need to not do that again, because that's a lot. So,
and like with us, like obviously it's different for like MEA bands and stuff like that, and like those different circuits. I mean, at Tarpon, we had field mics up front. Like we didn't mic players unless they were a soloist, and
which I like. Yeah,
and it's easier to do it that way, because it's like if the mic goes out, well, whatever, we won't hear that part of the field, but we don't have to worry about, oh, the flute mic isn't working, so we don't hear any flute players. Like, and that, I think that's probably the most scary thing is about miking like a section leader, is like any mistake will be heard.
Yeah, and I think they did do a good job of trying to blend that pretty well. And they made sure like the people that they gave the mics to were people that didn't usually mess stuff up. Like they were
the perfectionists.
Yeah, but it was just, I mean, they're woodwinds, so, but like, yeah, I mean, they were very strategic about the people that they gave mics to. In fact, I think they might have had, I could be like, do not take this word for word, because I could be totally wrong, but I'm like 85% sure they might have even had like mic auditions, and they were like, if you want a field mic, you need to like play the show for us, and
play it memorized perfectly.
I think it was kind of something like that.
That would make sense.
There were also people, I do remember, like toward October, a few competitions like where they had messed things up and they got their mic like taken away. So like, so I think that's kind of why, again, I think that was only like, I'm pretty sure it was my junior year, and after that we didn't do it anymore. So that's one of those things where you have to really know the students that you're working with and know whether that's a feasible thing.
Yeah, so. We never really had field mics unless it was our horn soloist in 19. We gave her an individual mic, but if we had a solo, we either brought them up front. Actually, I lied. In our ballad in 16, we had a field mic, or a flute that was mic'd.
Yeah, I had a horn solo my junior year, and we clipped. It was literally like a clip-on wireless mic.
Yep. Yeah.
It was awful, because sometimes it would like cut out, and obviously you can't project to a football field with a French horn. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I don't want
like, was it on horn?
Yeah, that's why
you don't want a horn solo to get cut out like that.
No, it was really
horn
bad. And that's why,
are
honestly,
so nice.
I don't even like, you will never see me be giving out a French horn solo in a marching band. It will not happen. I don't think it, especially in Kentucky specifically, because when it gets, that horn solo sounded really good until about mid-October, when it started to be like 32 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's a little different than a mellophone.
Yeah, it literally doesn't matter what you do to it, especially since for that particular solo, it was in the ballad. So we had the whole entire opener that was like 3 minutes long. And then it took 2 minutes into the ballad for me to actually like get onto the stage and grab the horn. By then it was literally ice cold. Like, what am I supposed to do with it?
You
and
can't.
It's like in the warm-up block, like I would warm it up, and the entire time when we were walking or marching, I guess, from warm-up block to the stadium, like I would be like blowing into it, like trying to keep it warm. But by the time it's been sitting underneath the stage for 5 minutes, it didn't really matter.
No.
So,
no, it doesn't.
I was pretty much like, I'm going to push all the slides in, hope it's not bad, and it was always bad. So, I mean,
with that being said, because of the fear of like the horn being cold, would you do it on a mellow? Like, would you have a mellow soloist then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, they've been playing the horn for they've been playing it for the entire show, so it's warm. It'll be okay. But I don't recommend doing French horn solos anymore.
Unless you're
in Florida. It depends on where you are. Or Texas, or Texas.
Oh yeah, if I were in Texas, I'd be like, here's all the horn solos. Everybody gets a horn.
Horn choir.
Yeah, horn choir.
You know who did that? You know who did that? Hebron in 19.
That's awesome.
A Million Dreams was their ballad, and they had a whole horn choir on the front side of the stage play the main line at the big ballad hit. It was fun.
That's awesome.
They're really good.
I'll have to watch that. I haven't seen that.
You should, yeah. Hebron 19 is my pick for who should have won Grand Nationals that year, and I don't think it was close, but either way, whatever.
He's
I'm not even salty. I'm not
butthurt. No. Yes, you are. This is a side thing. We have this debate a lot, but moving on from this debate, Mitchell, we'll tag back on.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna read off these state circuit dates, and then I'm actually gonna ask kind of some music education related questions at the end.
Sure.
Just because, especially since you're like your third year into it, I want to see kind of your opinion on it. But
sure.
So state circuit dates. Again, these could be wrong. So I'm just going to kind of go all 50 states alphabetical. So Alabama, what I could find was October 22nd. Kind of like a normal range, average around that time. Alaska, could not find anything. But fun fact about Alaska that I learned while doing all that research is their bands are incredibly growing. Like, their bands are getting a lot bigger, and there are a lot more spawning. So maybe there will be Alaska finals.
There's a band from Alaska in 2015 that showed up to Grand Nationals.
Sweet.
Which is actually really cool.
Arizona, November 19th, from what I could find. So that is late.
A weekend.
Late.
But they can do that. What?
What state did you say? Is that Arizona?
Yeah.
Arizona.
Wow. So do they still do like Grand Nats and all that stuff too?
I assume so, but then there's
not
state.
Entirely. There's not really a lot of Arizona bands that really go to BOA. There's a whole other circuit. There's a whole other circuit out on the West Coast called WBA. And it's basically for all the West Coast bands. There's some bands from California that come to nationals. There's a couple bands from Oregon that have made it out.
That's what I was going to say, is that I remember, because last year was the only year, because my band didn't do Grand Nats when I was in high school. So last year when I went with Bourbon, that was the first year I was there.
Yeah.
I did keep up with it on my phone, but that was the first time I'd been there in person. I do remember there being quite a few California bands, I think, right? At least two.
I mean, there were Texas bands. I don't think California bands came out last year.
They not?
It's also a trek.
No.
We gotta also remember, it is a long distance. Even more so from, that's longer than Florida. When we would go to Grand Nats every other year. It's, again, like we said last episode, music's not cheap.
No.
It is definitely not cheap. So there's, a lot of these state circuits are based off of U.S. bands, actually. So that's a lot of these states use that as, their finals, championship, stuff like that. Then there's the people who do the Bands of America or the West Coast version. So all these different circuits are kind of there for certain organizations, but I guess because these are based off of state. I'm not trying to throw BOA or anything in here. I'm trying to focus on their state dates roughly. But yeah, for Arizona, November 19th, it works for them because it's still hot. Or not hot, warm, I guess. But I would not want to be doing marching band that long. I want to be in horn season, sitting down, get some Mahler out there, let's go. But moving on from that, Arkansas, interesting one. This is the only one I could find, and I'm pretty sure it said 2022 was November 2nd to 3rd. That is the middle of the week.
That is Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, that's not even a weekend. Then California, November 19th, so that kind of matches with Arizona. Colorado, October 29th to 30th. Connecticut, October 29th. Delaware, October 22nd. Florida, November 19th to 20th, which personally doesn't sound right to me, but we would never really do that. We just kind of did our county one and then BOA, and that was kind of it. And we wouldn't even get to perform really in the county one. We'd perform an exhibition because we would be breaking all of the FMEA rules. You can't have a person mic'd, you can't come off the front sideline, you can't have the front ensemble splitting. It's all of these rules we'd be breaking. So it's yep, you can perform an exhibition. Then Georgia, October 22nd. Hawaii, nothing from what I could find. And that's honestly not a surprise to me. They have like
No.
a giant invitational that they all go to, but it's not competitive from what I found. So
I mean, there's
that's
some competitive Hawaii bands, I will say, because they've actually
yeah,
come to Grand
there
Nationals.
is, but
Like in
state
17,
circuit
two of
wise, they
them
don't
came.
do like a
Yeah,
whole thing. It's
right.
kind of just whatever bands want to be competitive, they can travel, but
Yeah,
they
that's
don't
Right.
really
really have
hard.
one in the
That's
state.
really, I can see how that could be hard in Hawaii too, because there's like,
Islands.
yeah, there's multiple islands, and then there's only like, at least, so I went to Hawaii over the summer, and there was literally only the island that we were on. I think there was like 2 high schools on this
Yeah,
island.
there's
So,
like 10 high schools, like not even.
yeah, so like, I mean, are they supposed to like island hop? Because the only way you can do that is on a plane. So like, are they
Get
all
on a
supposed to hop
ferry.
every time they want to? Yeah.
You could boat, I'm pretty sure.
Get on a ferry. Let's go.
Yeah.
Idaho, October 29th. Illinois, October 22nd. Indiana, November 5th. And if that's wrong, that's Mitchell's fault.
It's always the
Iowa-
week before Nationals.
Iowa, October 8th / October 15th. Kansas, October 15th / October 22nd. Kentucky, October 29th.
I think I'm
Um,
gonna double check that. I'm pretty sure it's the 29th.
And if it's wrong, blame her.
I'm looking.
Louis. And
Yeah, I have it
almost-
really. It's in my planner, so thus it's correct. If it's in my planner,
good, awesome. Next one, and this one's I feel like is the most wrong, but it's what I could find. Louisiana says November 12th. And what is
That's
November
ex-
12th?
That's Grand Nats.
That's Grand Nats, so that makes me feel like it's wrong, and that's the only state that has November 12th.
I don't think it's wrong. Just
I don't know.
because,
Louisiana's
really-
weird, I guess.
well, there's not really any bands that go out to Nats.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't remember there being any Louisiana bands there.
There was
Maybe
a
one
while
day.
ago, but there used to be a band actually called Lafayette. Funny. Funny. But no, they used to come up for Nats and they used to make finals and whatnot, but they haven't done that for a while.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think it's weird, especially when they're like the only state that does it. But
Whatever.
Maine, November 5th. Maryland, October 22nd. Massachusetts, October 29th. Michigan, November 5th. Minnesota, October 8th / October 15th. Mississippi, October 29th. Missouri, October 29th. Montana, October 16th. Nebraska, October 22nd. Nevada, October 22nd. Then here comes the news. New Hampshire, October 29th. New Jersey, October 29th. New Mexico, October 29th. And then New York, October 30th. A little weird. They're going on that
That's a Sunday. That's a
Yeah.
weird.
North Carolina, October 29th. North Dakota, could not find anything, but it may be the same day as South Dakota because they have like this like 4 quad state thing up there that they do. So North Dakota may be included, but I didn't see any North Dakota bands going.
Right.
Ohio, October 29th to 30th, but it could be that next weekend depending on like weather stuff from what I know. Oklahoma, October 8th / October 22nd / October 29th, based off all these different classes. Oregon, November 5th. Pennsylvania, October 22nd. Rhode Island, October 29th. South Carolina, November 5th. South Dakota, October 15th. And that's the one that North Dakota could be a part of, but I couldn't find a definite thing.
We'll figure it
Tennessee, November 5th. Texas, November 7th through November 9th. Utah, November 4th. Vermont, no answer, but that could also be thrown in where like Rhode Island and them, they kind of have like a New England state circuit over there because the states are so
U.S.
small.
bands.
Yeah, U.S. band stuff. Virginia, October 22nd. Washington, October 15th. West Virginia, October 29th. Wisconsin, October 15th. And Wyoming, October 15th. So, based off what I could see, it's obviously very late October, early November, but the average overall is October 29th. That's where most bands do it. I think that's a perfect time. Get states out of the way, have Halloween, then the bands who go to like be away have another week of rehearsal, jump right on the BOA, then go to sit-down season if they don't do it the full year. Because we don't. We do marching band the first quarter. As soon as Bands of America season's done, boom, wind ensemble auditions next week, and then we start sit-down season. So we don't get to have, like, the glory of playing the French horn the whole year, sadly.
Oh, sad.
3/4 of the year, which sucks. And I hate doing that.
We do it the entire year. We put a full-blown concert on in the middle of marching season in September, October.
Yeah, that's something I always really liked about Harrison is that we did do our best to keep like concert season and marching season separate. So we didn't have a concert until Christmas. But
really?
But we worked on concert and part of it was because like not everybody did marching band, but when we were in concert band, we did concert band music, and when we were outside, we did marching band music. Like I loved that difference.
But you did it the whole year, right? You guys did it the whole year, like both, like the concert band stuff.
Oh, concert band, absolutely, yeah. Like we were in concert band was like our like band class during the day, and like
and then after school,
after school was marching band. Yeah,
like I wish we did that, and you know I love my marching band. Trust me, I love doing it because we did block periods, second and third. So we were in band for like an hour and a half.
Oh, that's nice.
And like that's great. And Ford took advantage of that to take us outside and do marching band. So we'd have like Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 to 9, Saturday, 8 to 9, roughly, and then every day in class we would be either doing marching band music or going outside and learning drill and choreography and this and that and this and that.
Was marching band like required at your high school?
Yes. Even if you were a double reed, you had to learn something or be in back ensemble or like pit or something like that. And it got to the point to where it was like, well, if you're not in the outdoor performance ensemble, you kind of can't be in band. And that's what it kind of was viewed as. It may be different now, especially since we've had like 4 director changes at that school now since I've left. We went from Mr. De Leon, Leighton, Ford, Mr. Cheeseman, Mr. Height, like all these music directors, and basically had a full switch, and now just Mr. Ford's like the normal one that's been there for a while. Like choir changed, drama changed, orchestras changed multiple times, band 2 of the 3. Not, I guess we have 4 directors now, but like they've all changed. And even the one that we had last year that was new, he went back to Texas, and we got another 2 new ones. It was like, so it may be different now that you may not be required to, but when I was there, the atmosphere was you're either in it or you're not. And I hated that. It's like, I wish we could do the concert season throughout the year. And my junior year, he got better with it because we, like, the last couple weeks, but we also were going to Grand Nats. So it was like the last couple weeks of marching season, we started sitting down and playing like our horns and bassoons and all that. And then after school, we'd go back in the marching mode. But we were required to. And I see why, because you want your band to be as big as possible. And you want to have the numbers, you want to have the sound. But it also scares people from being in band, because not everyone wants to be in marching band. And that's what we do at Licking Heights. We don't make everyone do it.
Yeah.
So we have like another like 20% of kids that could be out in our performance ensemble, but they don't, because they don't have to. And you know, they've said in the past that they've thought about doing it, but then it's like, okay, well, if we started enforcing it, how many people are going to quit? Because a lot of them would.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something crazy that I actually, and you're absolutely right about that, because when I started college at UK, I was in the Creative Arts LLP, and it was really cool being in that because it wasn't just music students. It was like dance and theater and studio art and all that stuff. And you would be so surprised. Well, you probably wouldn't be surprised, but a lot of people would be really surprised to know how many people there I talked to that were like, yeah, I wanted to do band. I just don't like marching band. And it was like required at my school. So I didn't want to do band at all. And I was like, that is so upsetting, because concert band and marching band are like 2 completely different things.
Oh, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, and I don't think that those 2 things, and honestly, I love music and I love teaching music, and I'm so thankful that I'm in it now, and I've grown to love marching band, but when I was a freshman in high school, I wanted no part of it. And if anybody had tried,
it's scary.
Yeah,
and
if anybody had tried to make me do it, I would have just been like, okay, cool, this isn't worth it. Because honestly, this is going to sound conceited, but I was like, I'll just go home and learn French more by myself and get into college by myself. Like, I don't need you people. Like, I was like, if you're going to try to force me to do marching band, I'm just not going to play. So
I'm just not going to do it.
No, I'm just not gonna. So
I love that.
I was like, but I'm very thankful. My director was he was a great guy, and he understood. That was one thing I loved about him, was that he completely understood that those two things are very separate. That stopped him from trying to recruit from the concert band. No.
Oh no,
okay.
they'll still push it. Try to recruit.
I mean,
it's never a required thing, and it was always just in concert band. Like occasionally, if there was something like really important happening for the marching band, and we needed to look at the music, sometimes we would, but that was literally a once in a blue moon thing. And we had practice rooms, so he would literally be like, if you're not in marching band and you want to go practice, you can use the practice rooms. We have to look at these measures really quick, but that literally maybe happened like twice a season. Like it was not that common.
Always, given that we do concert band year round, and not everyone in concert band is in marching band, although a large majority of people are in marching band at Carmel, who are in the band program. However, there are some days where, if we have Indie Super on a Friday night or Grand Nats on the Thursday night, they'll give us that band period in concert band in school off to rest our chops and make sure we're rested for the day, and they'll just give us a free period. And they'll be like, do whatever, just don't be stupid.
Just don't
So
play.
A lot of people, right, we did that, like, if I had band on a Friday after Grand Nationals prelims on Thursday nights, because we always go on Thursday night, if we had a Friday band period, I just bring a blanket and I took a nap for an hour and a half. I just took a fat nap.
I would have done the same thing. I don't blame you at all.
I do. Like, there was one year I ordered pizza to the school. Well, there's a issue with that. I almost got in a decent amount of trouble for that.
I don't care. I wouldn't care.
Not a surprise knowing you, Mitchell.
Oh yeah. You need yeah. But I did definitely enjoy, obviously not all programs do BOA, but I definitely did have a great time showing Allison and one of our other friends, Garrett, around Indy last year, like showing them what I did for 4 years and seeing what there is outside of the KMA.
Very different environments.
And
like, these state circuits are completely different.
Yeah.
Right. And
our band had competed literally it was super weird. The year that I joined was really weird because so if you are from Kentucky, you probably know who Bob Gregg is. And he's like a phenomenal band director. He's retired now, but he was our director in like the 90s and early 2000s. Then he retired, and we had a few more people come through, and slowly the band went from having like 150 members, and it kind of shrunk down to like 50. And then when my director started, it was literally like 50 people, and it wasn't very good anymore. And that was in like 2009, I think. And he kind of slowly built it back up. And then in 2017, when I joined, that was the first year we had made state finals since 2007. So there was a 10-year gap there where Harrison was considered like not so great anymore. And that same year, it was very pivotal when we stopped, like we competed in like 2 BOA competitions. And then after that, we still couldn't afford, like the big issue is that we couldn't afford to go to Grand Nats. So that's why we didn't go. We went to 2 BOA competitions, but then the majority of them were KMEA. And then we just didn't do, because one thing I've figured out slowly as far as like researching show design and stuff that I want to do is that KMEA is very technical. Like you could, as long as your marching technique is good and your music is somewhat there, it's going to be good. Like they're going to like it. It's all about the technical stuff. But then BOA seems much more artistic. Like it's very colorful. And
I'm going to have to disagree.
Really?
This is, okay, so especially since
I'm not saying it's not technical, but I do think as far, if you're comparing KMEA and BOA, I think that BOA is much more concerned about.
In that sense, yes. I will agree in that sense, but as a performer from like drum corps, Bands of America, all of that, and I know we did state competitions still technically, we still did them, but mainly a BOA band. The difference with BOA bands is we can get away with a lot more freedom in artistic design. We can do that because a lot of states have very specific rules.
That's what I'm.
But But the problem with Bands of America and drum corps, and we got into this when drum corps finished, is the more fan bringing out shows are like the more fun and artistic shows that have a lot of skill to them.
Like
will
Carolina
not score
Crown this year.
will not score as high as bands who do all technical and play for the judges. That's the thing that's really hard about drum corps and Bands of America is these groups play for judges, and they'll write their shows for judges because that's how they win. And the problem is we don't have a lot of young minds that appreciate the difference in artistic design and choreography and cool drill design and show themes, like show stories. They all want that bugle sound. Wow, like they want that. They like old time marching bands. So like when Tarpon came in 2018 with our TV screens, everyone's like, "Whoa, that's too different." Though everyone loved the show, and everyone on that field that night thought we should have been at least top 2. And Mitchell can say whatever he wants. He changes his mind. He changes his mind all the time about it. But everyone that night, when they heard that we got 5th place with our best run of that show, they were like, "What?"
We were absolutely astounded sitting there in a retreat block next to y'all. We're like, "What the heck is this? This is ridiculous.
And
there's no way."
This is where like I get into
absurd.
the debate with. I can't wait for the older judges. Love them to death, but let the new generation of younger minds in music take over. Because with how the world's going and also how the music world is going, we're advancing. We need change. We need new things, new artistic design. Yeah, trust me, I love my traditional. I love, Cadets Westfield. Like I love all that. Love the nice uniforms. Love the regiment style. But I also very much enjoy all the artistic stuff because I did show choir as well. I've basically been in everything you can think of in a way. In some manner I have. Like performing-wise, like show choir, orchestra, band, all of that. Like, and that's where I've had the debate with him, like with choreography. I think choreography is a great part in marching band. It's a way to bring the performance out, performing. But in the end of the day, for me, I think best show design, best performance should win. Not playing for judges. They write the books for the judges. And that's where I disagreed with you there with like the artistic thing is like, oh, we can be artistic, but like if we're not or if we're too much, the judges hate it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it seemed to me when I compared, especially when I finally got to go to BOA, like Grand Nats, and sit and watch especially the Texas marching band shows. Like, those were so much more. Like, I'll give you an example. My sophomore year, the first year we made finals since like 2007, we wore black jackets with one blue stripe, black pants, black shoes, and a black hat with a blue plume. Like, that was all we had. But then I looked at these Texas band uniforms and they were like, yeah, and I was like, those are insane. It's that kind of thing where I'm like, I don't know if that's just like Texas MEA or if that's a BOA thing, but I was like, seems like
a lot of BOA bands have that freedom because again, like MEAs, with Florida, and I don't mean to always talk about like Tarpon, but that's my marching experience. Is literally RP1 with our TV screens, vocalists, this that. They literally told us like we could not compete in an FBA competition because we were breaking all of the rules.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Is the KMA has so many rules, and it's like, what am I remember?
That's why marching band's not fun at some schools, and I'm not saying like they're not fun, but it's like it's not as fun as it could be.
Yeah, I just
because all these rules.
That's why I'm so excited for the day when somebody's finally gonna look at me and be like, yeah, here's a school, write a show. Because I'm gonna I just want it to be, I feel like that is such a cool outlet of creative freedom. But I also feel like, okay, well, if I'm teaching in Kentucky, I'm gonna have to like really analyze the rule book before I do anything because I'm gonna wind up breaking something. And so that's why
I feel like you're on a tighter leash here than you are in other places. because
For sure.
especially after seeing and witnessing what I had happen last year when I was teaching, I'm gonna be honest, there are some comments in those judge tapes that I would never have seen coming in a million years.
Yeah.
And well, not even the good ones. I heard a lot of very not. I don't even know the right word
Well,
other than
it's just very insulting.
crazy out there.
Like there is a lot of comments that are just kind of, I call them insane. Like
Yeah.
there was a comment on one of our podcast episodes talking about drum corps, and I
that
deleted the
one.
comment because I don't like the negativity. And people are like, whoever calls this drum corps now are insane. Drum corps is different. Drum corps is not how it is. I'm like, things change.
Things change.
And it's great that, like, yeah, I get that we're used to, like, all these older drum corps people, like, they are so used to that old style, but the world changes, everything changes. Music has to change or it's going to die. And that's the end of it. And that's where I'm going to ask you those questions in a minute, like, about music ed. But, like, music has to change. And it is changing, but we need to push it a little quicker because things are changing faster than we think they are. And that's where judges have to change too.
Yeah, and if we do that, I like I think a lot of that change comes with like the generations of band directors too, and the generations of people that are writing. So we need to give that like 5 more years to get all like some Gen Z band directors in there, because when they're in there and they have all their ideas, like all the millennials are going to be like, well, that looks stupid, and we're gonna be like, no, it doesn't, just watch. And then when our scores are getting higher and the, you know, it's
the judges are changing, they're retiring, and new.
So
and that's what
judges
I'm
are going to be
saying.
millennials, and yeah, absolutely,
Like,
yeah. That's the way it always goes, because like I remember specifically my I'm going to keep talking about my sophomore year because that was a really pivotal year for me. That show was the first year we made state finals, and a lot of it was because before that, my director, he's very, very old school, and all of his shows were literally like blocks the whole time, just like rotating blocks.
Rotation.
Yeah, literally.
Rotation.
Our assistant director at the time looked at him and was like, we need to write a better show.
Break out of the box.
Yeah,
Don't be, and this is where I say to my students is, listen, you need to break out of the box as a performer. Put yourself out there. When you're audition for an orchestra, put yourself out there.
Yeah,
Audition.
and that's exactly what we were telling. We were like, I remember somebody looked at him one time and they were like, you get 4 boxes for the show. 4. That's 7 minutes. You get to be in a block 4 times. After that, it's not a block anymore. Like you got to figure. Like so
there's so many cool things you can do with drill instead of just lines and this and that. Like you have hundreds of bodies to form stuff.
When they got him to break out of that box, finally, our show was incredible. And then the year following, that show, it was called Sci-Fi. It was space themed. It was so cool because he finally sat back and realized, he was like, oh my gosh, like I can like literally
this is working. Wow.
Yeah, like we can do whatever we want, and this is awesome, and this doesn't have to be confined to what we consider marching band to be. Like marching
band, and this is what I will say, and I don't mean to pipe in, but this is my whole goal. Connecting all arts one step at a time. Anything in art, paint, dance, music, orchestra, vocal, anything is a performing art.
Absolutely.
And we should have freedom, and as educators, with a degree or without a degree, people who left music, anything, anybody who has an influence in the music world, we need to just make sure it's about the students having fun. And that's why we lose so many students to music, is because it's so regiment. They don't have freedom. They have pieces they don't like playing. It's all about the director's choice. Yeah, the director has choice in the piece, but maybe listen to pieces and see what the band wants to play too.
Exactly. I was hoping you were going to ask me about that, because student feedback, and I know I'm kind of doing job right now by drifting into music ed stuff, because I know that's what you were about to do, but like I fully plan to ask for student feedback when we're playing stuff. Like, hey guys, we have a Christmas concert coming up. Here are like 6 piece options I think we could do. You guys need to pick 3. We're going to listen to all of them. You can vote or like come in my office, tell me what you want to do. Like, and And I love the idea. Something that Michael Stone does, that I think he's the director of Bourbon County, something that he does that I love is that every year before, when he gets ready to start writing the marching band show for the coming season, he will sit down with the incoming seniors and he'll be like, what do you want your show to be about? Like, this is your show. What do you want to do? What kind of music?
Super cool.
That's a cool
He'll be
thing
like,
to
no,
do.
does he always listen to them? No, because sometimes they have dumb ideas because they're kids. But
Yeah,
he will at
obviously
least
they're
be like,
students.
yeah, and sometimes
Vikings.
like,
Come on, man.
Teenagers.
Vikings are stupid. Bad show.
But
Bad
like,
show.
I can't, without giving away too much about our show this year, because I know like we haven't had our first competition.
Oh, have you not announced yet?
No, I don't think it's public. I don't know how much.
Dang, I was
Yeah,
mad.
don't tell us anything.
I don't
Maybe
really
I
know
was
by
gonna
that
when we
ask.
close.
because I know how much we know and I know how much like most of the parents and stuff know, but I don't really know how much the public knows, so I'm not going to get into it too much. But
No.
I do know like the way our show theme this year came into play was that he sat down with the incoming seniors and he was like, what do you guys want your show to be about? And they said one thing and he was like, I can't necessarily do a show about that in particular, but that gave me an idea. What do you guys think of this? And they were all like, yes, that's our show. That's it. And they're all, now we're in September almost.
It gets the kids more enthusiasm.
Exactly.
More
They're
enthusiasm.
so passionate about it because they love it because it's their show. It wasn't just their director being like, hey guys, I'm obsessed with this thing and I want to do a show about it. Or Pirates of the Caribbean is my favorite movie.
Pirates.
So here's
I
just
swear.
so, like, and the kids being like, yay. Like,
Yo
they
ho, Pirates Life for me.
Like you're literally speaking my language right now, because
yeah.
and the audience, I may have said it before, I dropped out of music ed. I was in college studying it, but I dropped out. And the reason, I have more reason than just one. And, you know, I was kind of bummed out because it was a financial thing at first, but then I kind of took a step back and I realized kind of what I really wanted to do in the music field. And it was private music teaching, you know, choreography, drill, arranging. I can do all that stuff without like my name on a piece of paper. And, you know, I'm a visual caption head at a school. Like, and I love doing it. It's my favorite thing to do every day. Love going out there, teaching choreography, all of that. But my main thing is, and it's a part of like our mission here, it's to bring the new times with music. And the one class I had while I was in music ed, it was at USF, and it was talking about how music is dying in schools. And I said we would have an episode on it eventually. But I kind of do want to touch on it now with you here, because I know we've been drifting into it, so this is kind of where I want to say. The fear about music ed is schools are going online. Schools are drifting into an online format. How do we get music to do that too? And that's why we haven't thought about it. And that's the scary thing, is like we don't really want that to happen, because music is very in person. But that's where you also have music tech classes where you can do stuff online, but then you lose the marching band, then you lose show choir, then you lose all this stuff. And that's the scary thing about music, is like, if we don't do something as a music community and don't fight for it and don't change with the times to get more students enrolled in music, something, or just in art in general, like, and don't force kids to do things and expand and ask for student feedback and ask for students, what do you want your show to be? What songs do you want to perform? And obviously be like, hey, like, listen, this is a grade 5. You're not really ready for a grade 5. Maybe next semester we can touch on it. But this is a piece that I thought about kind of related to this piece that you may like. And this is like a grade 3.5, 4 that we could do. And that's where it's like, the teachers need to be stopping especially high school teachers and middle school teachers, because those younger minds are the ones that filter into these high schools. And that's the point where it's like, you make or break it. Music education needs to be fun. And obviously we can still have our regiment times, like we always will. But overall, like, we kind of need to shift the format. Like, we need to have more freedom. We need to ask the kids what they think. We need to have fun show designs, ask the seniors, this and that. And I think that's where the younger generations coming into play in the next couple of years will hopefully make the change. And my question for you is, as a music educator, because you will be becoming a music teacher, is how would you personally, like, kind of what would you do? And I know this is kind of putting you on blast, but it's to save music ed. Like, what would you put on the line for that?
Okay.
Is to save music in schools.
So I'm currently pursuing 2 degrees. I have the music ed degree, and I'm also pursuing arts administration.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people ask me, like, why is that combination a thing? And a lot of it is because I know the arts are dying in schools, and I know that, and that's why I really wanted to dive into arts admin, because that is a really big mixture of, like, how I talked about earlier. It's not just music, it's dance and theater and all that stuff too. And so I'm slowly beginning to learn the basics of those art forms as well, so that if I ever walk into a school and they're like, hey, our drama department doesn't exist anymore, or we don't have a drama teacher, can you pick that up? I can be like, yeah, just give me the script. What do you need me to do? And I think a lot of that, first of all, the biggest thing comes from making sure that teachers are being supported, because I think that right now they're not being supported, especially in Kentucky. Like, that's a really big issue.
Yeah.
Throughout, when I was in high school, I remember there was a day where our school day got canceled because our teachers went to strike at the Capitol because they were trying to take away their pensions.
Oh.
Well,
yeah, like,
Columbus just had something like that too. Like, all the Columbus teachers were on strike.
Yeah, like we literally
so they couldn't start school.
Like, it was literally, I think it was a summer month, I'm pretty sure, because I remember my mom came in my room and was like, hey, you don't have to get ready for school. Like, there's no school today. And I looked outside and I was like, are you joking? And she was like, no, like, your teachers are all in Frankfurt today on strike. Like, there's nobody there to teach you, so there's no school. And I was like, okay.
Cool.
And the reason they had to jump to that state was, or to that option, was because they weren't receiving, it's because the state capital, the people that are supposed to be there for them and to support them, were turning against them by taking away their, like, that whole thing was ridiculous. And we stood by them, and eventually they won, thank God.
Yeah.
But it was like, so many people that want to major in teaching, like, don't want to anymore, or they stop, or so many teachers that I know have retired early because they don't feel supported anymore. And that's a huge thing. That's not even just music ed, that's just education in general. Like, that's why everybody's so short-staffed right now.
I mean, that's the reason I'm not working at Henry Clay this year, because they didn't have enough money to pay field staff, because they didn't get much funding from FCPS.
That's a big funding thing.
Simple
like,
as it is.
With all these performing arts programs, funding's a huge thing, so they can't grow. And on top of what you were saying with teacher pension is, teachers don't get paid enough.
Exactly.
They don't get paid enough.
And for me, as much as I want, like, obviously I'm always going to, like, advocate for teachers to receive a livable wage, but if not more.
Right.
But for me, it was never, because my mom and, like, so many people, I'm really thankful that my family is supportive of my career choice, because honestly, before I wanted to major in music, I wanted to be a lawyer. So you can imagine that this is a little bit of
I could totally see
down.
that. Now that I actually think about that, now that I hear that, I could totally see that.
That was something, it was really something I like. I still love watching Law and Order. It's my favorite thing. I love diving into, that's why I wanted to continue to do arts administration as well, because I love budgeting and planning and doing all that kind of stuff too. And a lot of that actually does also come with band directing, doing that whole job. There's not understand the entire difference between being a music teacher and a band director. Like, those are two different hats that you have to wear. They're completely different. Sorry, I'm getting off topic a little bit, but
no, you're good.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing, is to save music education. They're going to have to start not only supporting teachers, but also supporting the arts. And I will die on the hill that especially so many older administration people, like especially superintendents, so many of them do not understand that the arts are a fundamental part of education, and
in school they didn't do it, so they don't understand.
That's the biggest thing, is that, or either that, or they were one of those, like, band kids that, like, did their homework in class or whatever and, like, really weren't, like, in it.
Yeah.
You know?
And we're like, I was in band.
Yeah, like, I played saxophone for 2 days. I remember that. Like,
I mean, I will say, I mean, there were days where I may or may not have done a little homework when I wasn't being worked with.
Everyone does that. We're all high school kids. Like
Yeah.
everyone
My
does
ADHD
that.
is
Look where you're sitting right now. Look what you're talking
exactly.
about. You know,
I'm still here, and it's not like I dropped it.
Yeah.
It's just integral. It's really integral. You know, there's the whole data that shows, you know, like music and math are actually pretty closely related because, you know, subdividing, you've got to think about that. You know, there's all the, like, music will, you know, it gets you out of bad situations.
And I'm going to throw another thing out here is, like, I'm going to be honest. When I was in school, like, I didn't listen to just, like, normal music, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't listen to anything. Like, I only listened to instrumental music. That's all I listened to. And everyone thought I was insane. And I was like, I like band music. Like, what is it? Then when I got into choir, I started listening to some vocal stuff. Then it's shifted into, like, okay, now my favorite, like, rock band is Rush. So it's like, okay, now I'm getting into it. And that's just a side thing is, like, with music ed, and, like, and this is kind of where I learned in that music ed class, is we need to bring the new styles of music into music, if that makes sense. We kind of, like, throw rap and all that to the side now. Well, that's what it is now.
Well, and again, I do think that's a generational thing.
Exactly.
Like,
music changes every generation.
To bring that in. Yeah. Like the directors that are starting right now and the ones that are about to graduate and the ones that are coming up right now, that's where that's going to come from. So I think
right.
Yeah.
Because, like, if we think about music all the way back to, you know, Mozart, Beethoven, all them fabulous guys, from that to how it is now, even back all the way when they first banged on a drum, like they banged on a rock, like music has like banged on a rock, like they made sound on a rock, and all the way to now, music has changed, and we were doing a great job throughout the generations shifting with that time. But as soon as technology started getting introduced, it's like we dropped it. It was like, nah, we'll play Uptown Funk in our pep band, but that's about it now. We'll play
Josh
Seven
Gillen's
Nation
Industry
Army.
Baby. Josh Gillen's Industry Baby.
Like the Hey song, we'll play that. It's like we'll play all these things in the stands, and then our marching show will be like, it will be like Hindemith or like Mahler or like something like that. And I have no problem with that. Trust me, I don't. But we kind of eventually need to think of like show design, and that's what I love doing. I like that's what we're doing. We have a startup collection, like a show based off Hades, Greek mythology, Hades, the underworld, god of the underworld. Like that's what it's about. But we can use a lot more modern styled pieces to it. And so are a lot of these other pieces. Like that's what I liked about drum corps this year, is we had a lot of difference from like 2019 last competitive year. It seemed very different. It seemed like everyone came out with an awesome show and put it on the field. And I think we have to get to the point to where, and even I'll admit I have the bad habit, is every show needs creative freedom for the performers, and the judges need to respect that, and us as audience members also need to respect that, as it's a theme. They're going to do stuff for the theme of that show.
People were saying the Colts were doing something like culturally insensitive because their show this year was the Silk Road. People were saying that that the Colts were being culturally insensitive with their uniforms, and they were.
I was gonna say it sounds like they were. I don't know that much about that, but it totally sounds like they were. Just based on that title, I'm going, whoa.
I mean,
maybe the title could have been a little better.
Yeah.
but it wasn't like there were no like, you know, symbols of hate or anything like that.
Exactly.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like, you know, and I have a feeling they did their research before they even designed the show.
I mean, it got into finals. Like, it was a good show.
you don't do shows and you don't put kids in that position to do a show that could even potentially be controversial, though.
Well,
Right.
And that's that's the design team fault. And that's where it's like...
So I would never, as a director, especially if I have seniors in my band that this is their last chance for anything, I would never put them in a position where they could lose out on a state championship or lose out on competing in general because their show is controversial. And or like we have this forum, I'm sure every state probably has one. We used to call it the nerd boards, but it's actually it's a KY marching info page that basically is just this forum where all these like really old dudes that are into band can go talk about it. And I already know that would have its own little like discussion board. Like it would be like, what do y'all think of this show called like this very controversial topic? And it would just be everybody being like, we're not watching it, we're not supporting it. Don't see me donating money to this band anymore.
Bugles.
That's what I'm saying. Like they would lose out because at least I know a lot of the bands here, especially the ones that I work with, we live and thrive off of fundraising. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to do a show that's controversial, you can count that money out because there are going to be so many people that are going to donate to you anymore.
Kind of tagging off of that is with a controversial show ideas, the design team, if you're going to do something related to it, make sure any part of the show cannot be taken in that manner. If you want to do a show about the Silk Road, don't make it obvious. And I hate to say that, don't make it obvious. And just don't be insensitive if it was insensitive. I don't think it was. I think they did a good job with it personally. But just an example, like we talked before, like they did a show about like World War II and like the Nazi stuff like that, and that band was like banned from competition because of it. Like that's
I
wonder why that one got banned. Like
there's a guard show.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a guard show called Dante's Inferno. Gavin, have you heard?
Yeah,
you've seen it.
We talked about that as well.
You've seen it, Dante. Exactly, Dante's Inferno. It's awesome, but also very, very, very screwed up.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's why those themes can be a great show, but it's just with how, especially with how the world's increasing or like changing, you can't do stuff on certain topics. You can't. It's
that's why. So that's another really big reason why I enjoy, and I really wish I could talk to you guys about Bourbon Show because this is like
we can't off camera. We can't off camera.
We can't off camera. We can talk about it later. But that's why I really love the show idea because it was like it's very special to that program in particular and the kids in particular, and it's like it has a meaning, but it's special to them, and it's like it has a meaning to the outside. So like when you guys watch it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes total sense, but also it's special to the kids, and there's no part of it at all anywhere where anybody could be like, oh, that's rude or that's offensive or that's this, that's that. Like nobody's ever gonna look at that and have anywhere to even begin to potentially think that this is offensive. Like it's just like my 3 shows that I did in high school, one was called Tempest, it was about a storm, one was space themed, and the other one was train themed. Like they literally
Whoa, are you being alienist right now?
You scared? I was like, what? I was like, what did I say? So like those 3 things.
You're canceled right now.
Darn, I didn't even get started teaching. I haven't even done
degree
anything.
Revoked.
Take my imaginary degree away. I think if you pick topics that are very broad, that can be played around with, that you can very easily find very cool costumes and props and things for, then you will never have that problem. Like it doesn't have to be that specific to where it's like, like it doesn't have to be like that.
And I think another reason is, and I sorry to pipe in, but like we say those broad themes, but I think some programs try to get out of the box, which is not a bad thing because I think, oh, well, this theme's been done 1,000 times, but though it's been done 1,000 times, you can put your own spin on it.
I agree.
Different music, different drill, different costumes, but they try and go out of the box, which isn't a bad thing.
No,
and that's what programs need to do. But they go in the wrong direction.
I mean, Gavin, have you ever seen a Dr. Seuss show before Flower Mound did it last year at Nationals? Allison, did you see that one, the Dr. Seuss show?
I did. I actually really liked that.
I
one,
love
too.
that one. That was
Like, I didn't
so
think
cool.
I was gonna like it. I heard that theme and I was like, "Are you serious?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh." And I watched it and I was like,
Goofy.
It kind of slapped. I'm gonna be honest.
like
That
I
was
remember
a fun
literally two of my Bourbon County friends were sitting next to me, and I literally remember like I went like, and I like grabbed. I was like, "This is so cool!" Like I remember
Yeah.
watching it, like, "This is awesome." I really, really liked it. It was cool. Now that again, that theme. If anybody ever came to me before that and had been like, "Allison, as our director, we want you to do a Dr. Seuss show," I would have said, "Get out of my office." No.
Well,
Stupid.
Allison, I have a
Like,
question
okay,
for
maybe.
you though. So,
What?
because since you're gonna become a director,
Yeah.
can you be like the first BOA band to like do a Star Wars show? It'd be so fun. It would be so fun.
It would be, but do you know how expensive that licensing is going to be?
Well,
like how
Too damn bad. Figure
Well,
it out.
if you have the money and you want to donate me the money to
Can you imagine
Star
the
Wars
whole
show?
band, like half of them in rebel uniforms and the other half in like stormtrooper uniforms? Like the brass line in stormtrooper uniforms. Bam, bam,
What if I
bam, bam, bam. Like
I want like at least one kid in a Chewbacca costume too. Like,
Yeah.
like, 2
You can
years
have, like-
from now, I'd be like,
well, you can have guard people like as the main characters, and they'll be
Yeah.
doing like the tricks and stuff. And Chewbacca can throw like a 9 in the air and like catch it
I mean,
under his
yeah,
leg. Like
if you somehow get the money and you want to give it to me, we can totally write a Star Wars show together. We can put it on somewhere. I will.
listen,
totally-
I'll write the drill. I'm
I-
visual guy. I'm not finances. That's Mitchell. He's the business management over there.
Oh,
So
you
that's
have a
him.
similar idea that I do, except I just did arts admin instead of business management. But those things I feel like are very
Yeah.
correlated. Yeah.
My goal with that is to go into like a drum corps and
Yeah,
rewrite
usually
ethical
corps.
practices, run the corps and
He'll be our fundraiser.
aha
He can raise money for the Star Wars show.
aha
We'll do the arranging. He's the finance guy. Mitchell, how much
I know.
money we need?
a lot of dollarinos.
What about an Indiana Jones show? Can we go that approach?
That would be so expensive too.
All of them would be.
Maybe,
That's the
maybe a
problem.
little
We can't
more,
have
maybe
fun
a
with
couple more
music because
dollarinos.
we can't have fun with music because everything's copyrighted. It's
Right,
like,
right.
and that's where fundraising comes back into everything. Again, music's not free. Fundraising, copyright fees,
Yeah, and I
uniforms.
strongly
like-
like that's why I try to, because like in my private lessons we do like we play out of books, and you can very easily find all of those pages on like IMSLP and free.
Right.
Yeah,
But I always do try to
we
like
don't condone that.
Yeah, but like me and Dr. Tone were talking about that the other day. I was like, when you ask me to do that, I usually do go buy the book because like I might get it off of IMSLP while I'm waiting for the book to come in.
Yeah, to practice
while I'm
it.
working on it, but I always do buy the book because I'm like, I want to support the artist. Now, does John Williams need any more money? Probably not, but I'm still gonna.
Hey.
Oh,
His
I'm
music's
still
pretty
gonna-
good.
He writes amazing horn parts. I love him, but like, does he need more money? Does he need more money? Like, could he let this tiny little marching band in Kentucky do a show about Star Wars and not sue them? Maybe. Like, could he live without it? Maybe.
And this is the
But
funny thing. Is everyone said Tarpon was sponsored by Disney because, we live in Florida, so we're sponsored by Disney. Okay, well, if we were sponsored by Disney, where's our Star Wars show then?
Yeah, no, literally. Or like, if you're sponsored by Disney, like, wouldn't you have like more money?
Where's our Frozen show? Where's our Beauty and the Beast show? And actually, that was rumored to be one of our shows. Was Beauty
Was
and
it
the Beast.
really?
And
I
That's
could
something
see
funny
it.
is that my sophomore year, with that year that we did the Tempest Shakespeare thing,
Uh-huh.
almost did Dante's Inferno. Like that was their original idea, and then they decided to not.
Hey,
But-
yo.
We almost did. Like I remember, like everybody was like, because another thing my director at my old high school used to do is he would tell the graduating seniors before our show reveal, before he revealed it to us, he would always tell the graduating seniors what the upcoming show was.
Mhm.
And so they
So
would
they-
like, they would like prank around with us, and they'd be like, I remember one guy, guy that I was really good friends with that was a couple years older than me. We both loved Broadway, and he was like, Allison, it's a Wicked show. And I literally crapped my pants. I was
I've
like,
literally been
"Wicked?"
saying, no, listen. You haven't actually been on the other episodes, but I literally said I want to do a Wicked show
That would be
because
so
I
amazing.
love Wicked.
I would love the idea of like, so you know how some drum majors do entrances where they like walk down the 50 and then they
Mhm.
like turn around on the tower and do their salute. I was like, I literally had like an epiphany about that, and I was like, if I ever did that, my drum major would most likely be like female, and she would like go down the 50-yard line, and she'd have like a black veil or whatever. And then when she turned around to do her salute, she'd pick it up and her face would be green. And everybody would be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do something like that.
Sign me up for that show. Sign me
up. Again, if you have the money to do it, let me know. But until then, it probably won't be happening. But yeah, that kind of thing. I love all of those ideas, but they're just so, like, the money for that.
Yeah. The fun ideas are the most expensive, and that sucks.
Yeah.
And that's why bands can't do it. So, like, Wild West show.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. It's just like people feel it gets repetitive, and that's why people don't like marching band, and that's where it gets.
Mm-hmm. One of my really good friends from West Virginia, her band actually got sued one year that she was there because they did a Disney show, and they got approval for the Disney show, but at some point they had this panel that had Walt Disney's face on it, and they didn't get approval to use that, so they literally sued them for using that picture. And so that's one thing I noticed is that Disney itself is super duper on top of the copyright. I literally asked her, I was like, your band had like...
Listen, Disney, listen.
Yeah.
Like, if a little high school band does a Disney show, they're not going to make as much money selling their product of T-shirts
as you are,
that you think.
They're
not going to become the new Disney.
Lose money by suing them. You're not going to win anything.
That's what I asked her. I was like, how did your tiny little 100-person band from West Virginia get sued by Disney? Like, how did they even figure that out? Like, who called Disney and was like, guys, this little band in West Virginia is doing a Disney show, and guess what? They used Walt Disney's face. Like,
well, millions of people still get away with that. There are so many bands that like bootleg music and don't pay for it, but no, there's so many bands. It's like you can't always find it, but then it's like, okay, well, the bigger names that would do these shows really, really well, you can't do it. You're gonna get caught. Like Tarpon, 2 hours away from Orlando, you'll get caught doing a Beauty and the Beast show without any like proper funding. It's like, and that's why I think Disney should be like helping organizations do that. Don't you think? It's an ad. It's a free ad. Every Friday night, it's a free ad for Disney across the world. Like, oh yeah, Tarpon Springs High School did a Frozen show for Frozen 2 premiering this next winter. It's like, do it.
But the thing is with that is like they would want that to be like an extremely professional ensemble, and I'm like, this is a little
you'll have like trumpet players like fracking like high notes and be like, nope, sued now. You're getting sued now. Yeah. So it's like, again, I have so many, like, I would love to do shows like that. Like, I would love to do Wicked and Star Wars and all that stuff. But also, you would literally, I mean, honestly, you'd probably have to be somewhere like Carmel to have that kind of funding. And even then, I don't even think Carmel has that kind of funding. I was going to say, I don't even think they have the funding.
No.
Like, maybe Texas bands. Maybe Texas bands.
That is something, if I were to ever, like, of course, I'm never going to teach at Carmel. But if I were to be there, I do think that is something I could do, is I could get how many, like 400?
325.
There's what?
325.
I was close. Okay.
Close enough.
So all 325 of those kids, I know how to get kids to fundraise, and I know how to fundraise, and I know how to budget really well. So I would get that. They would have money if I were there. They would have money, and which I don't think they don't have money, but they probably have plenty of money. But that's what I'm saying is, like, I'm pretty good at, like, those kids would always have something that they were selling in their backpack. Like, they'd be like, oh, you want a candle? Oh, you want sausage? Oh, you want cheese? Oh, you want, like...
Yeah, the cheese is moldy, but I can still sell it to you.
No, I mean, like, brochures, not like actual... Not whipping out of their backpack.
We have
well, you said in their bag, so...
Sorry. I'm just saying, they would always have... always be selling... The band's always selling something. They have mums, food... Candles, fruit, chocolate. Yes, the chocolate bars. Oh my gosh.
That's the most popular one.
We always do a car wash, and we auction off. We have a car raffle where the Dreyer and Reinbold and BMW dealership down the road donates 2 cars that we sell raffle tickets for, and then draw at our community night. That's like our 2 big things of fundraising, and then we have a mattress sale.
We do the mattress sale too.
We love mattress sales.
We do tag days and chocolate.
Did you guys have the mattress costume?
Someone did. I never helped out in the mattress sales. No, screw that. I would never be caught dead.
Yeah, but no, I would totally make a 7th grader wear it though. I'd be like, get outside on the curb, wear
Yeah.
the Master's costume, learn how to twirl the sign. You're in color guard, twirl the sign, go stand out there.
Do the thing.
Listen, show the world your talents.
Oh my
And
god.
this is drifting into another art form. Show choir. Same thing. You can't do certain shows like with like controversial ideas, funding, all that. Like my sophomore year show I played trumpet for, the Duplicity of Man, was supposed to be a lot more of a different style show, but Mr. Cheeseman, love him to death, he was a lot smarter and said, let's go this approach and not make it obvious. And then he's just like, I still want to do the darker theme, but Duplicity of Man, let's do it this way. So it was like, in show choir, I feel like they do a lot better with hiding stuff like that. Just because, like, it's you see all these movements the whole time. It's like, whoa.
And then there's William Mason, who had just a straight up Top Gun show last year with a Top Gun flag, with their little show being called Top Gun. Oh my god, you haven't seen it?
What school is that?
William Mason in Cincinnati.
Oh, no.
Mason, Ohio. Yeah.
I remember that. I don't
They
remember
had the
that
flight
show, but I
suits.
remember hearing that name.
They had the flight suits. They had like dog tags and everything. It was so cool. I loved it. And then all the
I deal
kids,
with that. That's funny. Oh my
all
god.
the kids started dancing at the end of the show to Danger Zone. Which, speaking of
great.
which, I'll tell you what, we're trying to beg our TA for marching band to arrange Danger Zone. I want
That's
it.
a fun piece. That's
Josh
fun.
Gillen needs to arrange Danger Zone.
I did go over to Scott County High School a little bit. I was just my TA teaches over there, but I was there, like, she needed me to cover for a few days, so I went over there, and they're doing an arrangement of Danger Zone.
Oh!
Yeah, now Scott County's not competitive. They just do like football band and stuff.
Yeah.
But they do have you could request to see that probably. They do have one, and it's neat.
I want to see Danger Zone. I love Danger Zone.
It sounded good. Like, we were just starting it when I was leaving, because literally I was leaving for like 3 days. But it was a good part. Normally pep band arrangements for mellophone are kind of boring, but those were fun.
It depends on who writes them.
I was about to say that depends on who writes it.
I know, but like in central, like around here, most of the time for pep, because pep band is usually like low priority, because like, you know, you have marching band, concert band, and then like pep band. Like,
Or whatever pep band is, yeah.
Like, most schools don't really care about the pep band stuff, so they'll just like, buy stuff off JW Pepper and be like, these are pep band stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the mellophone parts are all like quarter notes and eighth notes, and they're really boring. So those parts were nice. They were like, they had a few riffs in there.
Yeah, and everyone has their own version of the Hey song, like Land of a Thousand Dances, Louie Louie. Like, well, I think that was a great conversation, especially for people who think the same thing about music ed or don't kind of understand the reality of the situation. Well, not kind of, the reality.
It's scary, but that's also part of why, again, like I had a very difficult decision to make when I was going into college, because I was like, I can either go to law school and like be financially secure my entire life and not have to worry about finding a job or risk everything. Yeah, and go major in music. And I finally decided to do the music thing, and I'm really thankful that my family was really supportive of that, because it's scary. But I was like, this is where my services are needed. And
that's where everyone is. Everyone needs to go.
Yeah, like, hey, no, you're a business major, not anymore. You're a music major. Get over there. You've never played an instrument before? Too bad. Get over there. You're over there.
And the thing is, you don't even have to be majoring in it. At least go help in some way.
Yeah.
Like, become a technician. Do this. Do that. Like, anything.
Yeah,
exactly what I do.
I never understand why some directors like don't want their alumni to come back around after they graduated. I'm like, let your alumni help. As long as they want to be here, let them be.
I think it's because they'll know some of the students in the band, and that's a big thing.
And I understand that, but also, like, first of all, that's free help. And most of the time, if it was a good program, they're going to know what they're talking about, at least somewhat. And if they want to help and they're around and they're good kids, now some kids you might have to turn away for like behavioral reasons or if they're being inappropriate.
Yeah, Mitchell.
But you know, if
Me?
they're good kids and they want to help, then let them help because eventually you'll notice, like when kids graduate, that first couple of weeks of band camp, like they'll pop in, they'll say hi, and they'll leave, but then literally by September they stop coming, and they figured out like, oh, I have a life now. I'm not a high schooler anymore, and they'll go do their own thing, and then you won't see them again. So like, I always like to give them, when I'm a teacher, I want to give them that moment of being like, okay, I want to go visit the band. I want them to know that they're always welcome there, but also I want them to know, like, it's okay to drift away once you're...
It's okay to leave the nest.
Yeah, it's like, fly away, go, goodbye.
And again, like this, like music conversation like this can go on for hours, and I think one day, I want to just kind of invite you back, invite a lot of people eventually, like when we have more guests, and just kind of have like a podcast all about that. Could sit here for hours. Like, I don't care. It could be like an 8-hour podcast. We just sit here and talk.
Oh.
Like I'm over exaggerating, but I just think, and this is more to kind of get the message out, because again, I could talk about this all day, like I could. And I talk about it with many different people all the time. But music's not free. We need to expand the outlet. We need to get younger minds in. We need more music educators. We need more music people helping in general. And that's just the reality of it. But, I mean, sorry to cut the conversation off, but again, it scares me to death.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm out
heartbroken.
here like saving music ed alone. Like that's not a thing. Like,
no, you can't. No one can.
No, we're gonna have to all work together and understand that this is something, like you said, music has to grow and it has to change, and we need support from administration and from parents,
everybody.
Like
alumni, parents, faculty. Like,
we just really need people to understand that music is a very, very imperative part of education. And most people, and it's ridiculous that it's 2022 and we're still having this conversation, because I feel like this is something that's been talked about for decades, and eventually...
And we said, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
And it's like, okay, well, it's been 60 years, so when are we going to get to it? Because it's taking long for me.
And that's where I say where it could almost be too late.
Oh,
like,
I hope
not. Within the next decade, like, it's going to be too late. In my opinion, like
I think we have, especially in Central Kentucky, is like, it's like a little perfect golden pocket. I don't want to say perfect, but it's like a golden pocket of the state, because it's like, at least most people here, we have a lot of good bands in this area, and for the most part, these superintendents, especially when they hear the words championship, and that bands are improving, they're getting good scores, that shouldn't be the motivation for wanting to keep the band around.
Let's fund them more now.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. That's why they want to give us more money, is when the bands do well. That's why, like, for instance, at Bourbon County, I love those kids to death, but their football program, actually, I can't remember which sports are good and which sports are bad, but I do know for a fact that the band for a long time was one of the only programs in that school that was succeeding at all. So that's why they were getting funding. And that's the same thing at a lot of schools. Now, those sports programs are getting better, but then you know what's going to happen as soon as those sports programs get better? Some of that band money is going to go back to the sports programs again. And it's like, when are we going to start making music just as much of a priority as all these other sports? Because I'm not saying the sports aren't important, because they are.
No, they are.
Should be. Yeah, they totally are. Like, kids need exercise, all the things, right? But I think music should be in that same little sphere, right? Like, I think a lot of people think like all the, like the football and the baseball and the basketball and all that's here, and then music's like over here. But marching band and drum corps is a sport. It's a sport. It absolutely is. And my brother...
Show choir is a sport. Because actually in Ohio, they're like considering show choir a sport now. It's like an extracurricular activity now. Like,
and that's awesome. It should be. Because a lot of people don't understand. Like my brother, for instance, I love him. He plays golf. He's very athletic. He goes to the gym all the time. Like, he's kind of muscly. Good for him.
He's swole.
He's sure. And he just doesn't understand, like, when I talk about marching band, he's like, it's not that hard, Allison. You just pull up your and play stuff. And I'm like,
no. Perfect posture, choreography, mental game,
How
lots
about
of
you backwards
breathing,
jazz running in
blowing
a
my
Z-boat,
head
200
off, like
BPM,
And
fight
if
me.
and if we ever talk about this again, I can totally get into like the impact that music has on like academics as well, because
yeah.
that's a
huge
whole nother conversation.
because I can totally get into that as well, and that's something that I fully plan to use when I'm working on getting like school board funding in whatever school that I wind up being at, because a lot of people don't get it. They don't understand. And I want to just be like, would you just give me the money and let me do what I need to do? Like, if you will just give me the money and let me show you what this can turn into, then you'll be giving me all the money. Like, I need you to just watch. Like, none of them will listen.
And this is the thing about it, and I don't want to dive into this conversation because that's a whole nother can of worms. But what I will say about with education with music is music opens a brain so much that it helps them learn in other classes. Like, it's such a mental game, especially with like 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit. Like you have to think about that subdivision. That's getting your brain like working. The gears are going, and it's an art form that gets your mind out there, so you can easily express your knowledge in other classes. But that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, no, I can totally talk about that all day long too, but I'm not gonna do that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have another podcast. That's what we'll do. Hopefully in the next couple months, maybe after marching season, we'll have a big podcast, a lot of guests, talk music ed, talk the impact on all of this stuff. Because, I mean, we went from state circuits into all this, and that's fine by me. So thank you for joining us today. It was very nice to have you. But next week, we're probably going to actually talk show choir next week. We're going to jump, we're trying to jump into everything next week. So we're going to talk show choir next week with Mitchell and me, and maybe another special guest. Who knows? I maybe have someone in mind. But again, thank you for joining us today. But
thanks for having me.
Yes.
Other than that, next week will be fun. Check out on the website, get a t-shirt. If you want a teddy bear or like a mug or a hat, please tell me, because these designs are so cool and I want to put them on the website. So please, let me know. But besides for that, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch y'all next week, and we're going to talk some show choir. So, peace out.